What's up everyone? Today we're going to go over Leetcode number 29, divide. Now what the problem is asking us is, given two integers, dividend and divisor, they want us to return the quotient. Now the rule is we're not allowed to use the divide symbol and we're not allowed to use the modulus symbol. So we're going to have to work and solve it in using subtractions. So the solution comes from Lee 215. And the way the solution works, before I get into the code, I'll explain it, is that normally when we have a dividend and divisor, we calculate it like this. We can take 3 away from 10, so it goes into it once, then it's 7. Then we can take 3 away from 7, so we have 2, becomes 4. Then we can take 3 away from 4, which is 3, becomes 1. We cannot take 3 away from 1, which is why the quotient is going to be 3 and the remainder is going to be 1. But the way this problem goes is that we're not going to take 3 at a time away at a time. Instead, what we're going to do is see which doubling of 3, meaning we're going to do 3 times 2 times 2 and times 2, and see how many of this we can take away, the largest away from 10 at a time. So it's going to look like this. Can we take 3 away from 1? Okay. Good. Then can we take 3 times 2, 6 away from 10? Yes. Can we take 6 times 2, 12 away from 10? No. So what we do is we store this and we hold on to it. Now we know that the highest we can get into it is 6, so we take 6 away from 10. So once we take 6 away, it's going to have 4. Then we can do 3 times 1. 3, we can take it away from 4. Then can we take 6 times 2, 3 times 2, 6 away from 4. We can't, so we stop here, and then we have this and we increment it once. And this total is going to be the quotient we return here. So let's get into the code. To begin, they give us an edge case where they say that if something overflows, we need to give the integer max value, because that's how Java integer type is working under the hood. So there's an edge case where if something is the integer max and then the quotient is -1, sorry, the divisor is -1, the quotient is supposed to be this, but overflows, so we have to return that. I'll write it first. If integer dot min value is equal to dividend and divisor is equal to -1, we should return integer max value. Now, then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the absolute values of this so it's easy to do the calculations. Now, let's say int a is equal to math.abs of dividend, and int b is math.abs of divisor. And int result is going to be the way we return what the question is asking us to return. I think I might have mentioned this, but some solutions are using long, the data type long, but I don't want to cover a solution which is using that, because we should be a little comfortable with working with the edge cases of integer, max, and min. Now, once we have that, well, this is the thing we're going to be returning. Now I'll write the main code of the while loop. Now, while a minus b greater than or equal to 0. What this means is, can we take divisor away from what's left of the dividend at least once? Now, because we can take it away at least once, the way we're going to store this is int x is equal to 0. What this translates to is 2 power 0 equals 1. Now, this 0 is the 0 here. That's how we're going to keep track. Because remember, I told you we're going to not take away 3 and then 3 and then 3. We're going to take away 3 and then check for it 3 times 2. And then check for 3 times 2 times 2. And we're going to check the largest one we can take away from that. Now, once we have that one, what we're going to check is while a minus b shifted over at least once, so checking one more time, and then shifted over x amount of times. I'll tell you what this looks like in just a second. We're going to increment x plus plus. Now, what this looks like is this. So a, 10, minus b, in this case is 3, shifted over once, shifted over by x times. The first go is 0, right? So this is going to come out to be 6. So 10 minus 6 is going to be 4, which is greater than or equal to 0. Now, x gets incremented again. Next go, the x is going to be here, checked again here. Now, when 3 gets shifted over to the left twice, it's going to check for 12, and this is not greater than or equal to 0, so we don't go in here. At this point, x is equal to 1. Now, what we're going to do is, remember the res integer we had? Now we're going to increment res by 1 shifted over to x, because that's telling us how many times we can double b, or the divisor, and it will still be less than what's left of the dividend. So in this case, result is going to be 2, because 1 shifted over once is going to look like this. In binary, this is going to be a value of 2. Then what we're going to do is take away from dividend, right? So a, we're going to take away from that how many times we've doubled divisor. So we're going to shift b over x times. Now what that means is 10 is going to be reduced to 3 shifted over once. So this is going to be reduced to 4. Now the next time we go around in this outer for loop, a is going to be 4 and b is still going to be divisor. So next time when we go in here, we know that a minus b, 4 minus 3, if it's greater than or equal to 0, then b can go into this at least once, right? So when we want to represent 1, we're going to represent it with 2 power 0, which is 1. Now x is going to be 0. When we come in here, this time a is 4, right? 4. B is still 3, shifted over once, shifted over 0 times, which is x. Now 4 minus 6 is not greater than or equal to 0, so we won't even go in this x plus plus line. Next, what we're going to do is increment result by 1 shifted over 0 times, which is just 1, right? So res was 2, now it's incremented again. And then res is going to be 3, right? Res is going to be 3. And then a is going to get decremented again. 4 minus 3 shifted over 0 times. Shifted over 0 bits. So then this is just going to be 1. So now a is 1. Now when we go back at the top of this while loop, 1 minus 3 is not greater than or equal to 0. So we're done with this. Our result is going to be 3. So the last thing we have to do is check for the minus signs and see if they're both negative or positive, or one is negative or one is positive. So all we have to do for that is say return dividend is greater than or equal to 0. Is that, in this case it is, so that's going to be true. And then divisor is going to be greater or equal to 2. If they're both the same, then we're going to return res, else we're going to return the negative of result. So that's how you solve Leetcode number 29. If you like the video, please subscribe and like it, and let me know how I can improve, and thank you for watching.